This next artist coming up to the stage is a broke poet. Starving artist, like a lot of us. And so what she decided to do was to write a full manuscript. Because when you ain't got no money, you got words. You know what I'm saying? You got plenty of shit to write about. And so she, no, dead ass. And so what she did is she wrote this full man. She's writing. She's working on it still. It's called She Speaks Poetry. Yeah, you can give it up for that. Yo, she's Latin, Native American. She's beautiful. Her words are gracious. I want you to go ahead and start building some energy. Put your hands together for Erica Granados de la Rosa.
In honor of my sisters, the sacred reflection of the Creator, where it begins, where it ends. Let's look at Matthew first. You see, I have a story to tell. It lays deep within the disorienting darkness, waiting, because through it, I can come alive. Through it, my story can thrive. Through it, God survives and I am born. Sustained by the cycles of the mother, I am formed, and I feel, love, laugh, and learn to be warmed by grace. Faced with the challenge to grow deep roots in this place here, where I stand to simultaneously stop and wait. To balance love and hate within the ever-growing process of that which God creates. And I am born. Endowed with the power of life through human form, I am charged with the task of making sure my sisters and brothers are warned that there must be room for new life, new forms of existence, and new heights. Consider the breaking of the seed and its desire to be right in order to start all over again. In order to start all over again, I've taken to paper and pen in hopes that you will hear me, in hopes that you will see me, in hopes that you might remember. May we remember to hear the stories of women who are silenced and not voiceless. May we be courageous. May we be courageous enough to hear ghetto children's voices who know survival as a creative act found in the rhythms beaten into desks and walls in the overcrowded classrooms on the south side, and in the ink that covers their wounded bodies, who know the price of war and poverty every day of their lives. May we remember that their life is shaped by how much their life is valued or systemically thrown away. And they inherit and manifest every single memory born of women of color today who are deemed too poor and savage to behave as mothers. May we remember the women of color who have had their children removed from their care by state forces because they cannot afford divorces from their abusers, users, 501c3s, and government entities who will count their heads and write their poverty porn stories for your consumption. May we remember the queer women of color who are struggling to build healthy families and communities without access to basic liberties like walking outside without the threat of being left to die in the back of a convenience store in Houston, Texas. May we remember the women of the global South who put trembling hand to weeping mouth when they found their children had been kidnapped and sold by American and European adoption agencies. May we never forget the long-standing history and present-day reality of women of color being sterilized without their consent in the so-called clinics, prisons, and colonies of this so-called land of the free. May we work hard to honor the children who have confused their desire to have love for their desire to have child for their desire to have love their families cannot afford to give them 4 generations over due to mass incarceration, economic displacement, gentrification, slavery, and systemic poverty. May we remember that we are both the villains and the heroes in these stories of reproductive tragedies. But most importantly, may we remember to speak and hear and tell stories that complicate and humanize instead of simplify and victimize, no matter how much courage it takes. In the words of Sister Aja Monet, may we be courageous. May we be courageous. May we be courageous. Woo!